Hello friends, welcome to See Joy Yoga. I'm Crystal Joy Johnson, and we're going to start in Virasana if this is a pose that is acceptable with your knees, your hips, etc. Virasana translates as hero's pose, and we are going to start on height, unless you're really experienced with this and you want to come all the way down, but we're going to be here for a little bit, so even though my buttocks can come to the ground, I don't usually start this way in a practice. That would be further along in my practice, right? I have a block between my heels. You could also use a bolster, or you could make a blanket, a nice high blanket. If you've got a really thick, maybe a couple of encyclopedias, something along those lines. Be inventive at home. And if this isn't available, sit cross-legged, and you'll still do the other movements we'll add in from there. So just before I turn around again and face you, I want to say that when I sit down on that object, right, I want to have enough height that I'm not struggling to keep my pelvis upright and the rest of my spine, and I don't want to have that weight just hanging down. So I want to have it so that I am actually so I feel solid on the earth, if that makes sense. Again, we're going to be here for a little bit, and it's the first thing in our practice, so be gentle with your body. I'll get you to those deeper places, right? Those outer ankles, can you move them in so your inner ankles push into the block, at least to start? I'm going to turn and face you again so that I can show that although my heels are a little bit separated, I have my knees moving towards one another. You can have them hip distance, but if they're wider than hip distance, this can torque the knee joint a little bit, so you might choose to go cross-legged. Right? So find that position, and then I have a couple more things to say about it since we're going to be here for a little bit, and I'm breaking it down today. One, we got a lot of meatiness on that top part of our gastrocnemius, our calves. So it can also be a really helpful tool to move forward. Whether you put your head down or not is up to you, but I get my hands all the way into my knee creases. I'm going to pull my calf muscle towards my heel. Some people say out. That's not the way I was taught. We don't displace the muscle out to the side. We just pull it down to make space behind the knees. Speaking of the knees, if this is almost doable but the knees don't care for it, you could move a blanket in behind the knees all the way in, right at the knee crease, and sit back on that. And usually that spaces the knee out, and most of my friends who have knee issues can potentially still do this pose with the support of the blanket. One more thing. If you really gently lift your knees and pull your kneecap flesh forward, you might get a little spaciousness. Okay, so we're going to be here for a little bit in our beginning awareness. So go ahead and close your eyes. Your palms can be up or down. Right? You could even be in the cosmic mudra, left palm sitting in the right palm with the hands coming in towards the abdomen, thumbs almost touching. With your eyes closed, start to tune into your sense of your buttocks bones. Let's start there. And can you feel them, right? Can you identify them? Are you on the front of them, the back of them? Can you find the very center of your buttocks bones? And can they root down so the rest of the spine can grow up nice and tall out of that? With the height of the spine, we've been talking a lot about making sure you're not rigid with that action, right? That you have height, but there's still a softness to the jaw, the tongue, the shoulders, the muscles along the spine, definitely the front of the thighs, whatever pose you're sitting or kneeling in right now. And remember, you could always be sitting in a chair, and you could do the practice from there. Notice the body. We usually have some dominant feelings, and I don't mean emotions with that feelings, but sensations. Maybe you feel muscle spasm or pain, discomfort. But then can you go a little deeper? Can you check into other parts of your body and find out what's happening there? I'm not saying don't check into the dominant ones, do. But sometimes we get stuck on that and we're in discomfort and then we want to move, and right, what happens if we can either check into other areas and we take our attention away from that pain or that discomfort? Does that maybe allow us to sit a little longer, and does maybe that pain or discomfort dissipate a little bit? One possible technique. Bring your awareness into your breath. We're still working towards that soft belly breath. I usually teach it from the ground a lot, where the belly can be entirely soft and nothing has to hold on. But it's the same concept, right? The belly is so soft, the belly moves away from the spine on the inhale, and when you exhale, that belly will move back towards the spine. So if you find that you are so rigidly holding the belly to sit up tall, can you release some of that? You still need enough contraction to hold you up, but that's usually in the very low abdomen, like the top of your pubic hair low. And the rest of that belly, it can be soft here. With your next inhale, go ahead and open the eyes. And let's move from this place. You're going to reach your fingertips down and out, right? And from there, go ahead and just bring your right arm. Turn the palm up and reach it up to shoulder height. And really reach out and see if you can't lengthen through the collarbone of that side, but also that shoulder blade parts out a little bit so that your back body broadens. So you have equanimity on both sides of your body. And bring that down, just that to start. Bring your left arm up and turn the palm up, and again, really reach actively out of that arm and see if you can't find that length on both sides of your body. And bring that down. Now this time you're going to go ahead and you're going to reach those arms up, come up to shoulder height, palms up initially. Right, when the palms turn up, does that allow the shoulders to soften down? Can you find freedom around the neck? And then actively reaching, finding that length now across both sides of the chest, both sides of the upper back. Now try to keep your shoulders and your upper arm bones as they are. Turn your palms down and then flex at the wrists and see if you can't push actively through those palms as if you had walls on both sides of you. Really push those walls out and away, particularly through the heel of the hand, and say hello to that, that inner arm line, probably feeling that coming up the forearm, right? Maybe through that tricep area, armpit, soft shoulders, almost there. And go ahead and release that, bring that down, let the hands just rest for a moment, tune into your body and notice if and how it's different than moments ago when we were here. And then from there, you're going to go ahead and you're going to interlace your hands and push your palms straight forward. So same wrist position, right? Slightly different arm position. But can you still find the broadness across the collarbone? When we do this, we usually tend to round the back behind us and kind of cave the chest in. So you're still looking for that same broadness you had moments ago, even though we've changed and brought the arms forward. Now soft shoulders, and inhale, start to bring those arms up. You might not go very high. You might start to find tightness through your armpit line, through your lats, through the ribs, whatever that might be. Try not to engage the inner shoulders, those upper traps, and just go up to whatever point it is for you. I like to remind my very flexible friends that you don't want to bring your arms way behind the ears, right? You're just extending the arms and stretching out your ligaments and tendons, which is not great. It takes a really long time for those to come back to their original length, which is where your stability would lie. So you're playing with the body you brought. Go ahead and reach those arms out and bring them down. Pause with the hands down and just notice if anything is changing. Again, keep the broadness of the collarbone and of the upper back interlace, and then you're going to change and put the other index finger on top, and everything else changes. One more finger over. Keep that collarbone and upper back even as you extend the arms out in front. It's not about perfectionism, it's precision, right? Soft inner shoulders, and then keeping that spine nice and long, keeping those inner shoulders soft. With an inhale, begin to reach your arms up to your opening position, right? Wherever it is on this round. Think of lengthening out of the side waist, not the inner shoulders as you reach up. And then one more addition on this side. For a lot of us, we push through the pinky finger because it's a little easier. Can you get your index finger and thumb side to push up so that you flatten your palm wherever your angle is, as if you were pushing into a wall? And go ahead and take one more breath from there. Inhale. And go ahead and bring those arms out and down. We'll get out of these legs in a second. If you need to exchange, do. If you're cross-legged, put the other cross in front. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and we're going to move into a twist. So now, same concepts, slightly different arm variation, right? Bringing the work with us. Reach those arms out, turn the palms up, reach and lengthen, and find the spaciousness, soft inner shoulders, and then now bring it up to where we just were moments ago with the interlace, right? And that might be wide, and that's okay. That's nothing wrong with that. And then from there, you're going to go ahead and you're going to start to turn towards your right. Try not to let your spine bow back or forward. And inhale back. We're not bringing the arms down yet. Exhale, turning towards the left. Notice what your spine wants to do to try to make this twist happen. And inhale, engaging side waist and to the right again. Trying to keep the spine long, yet it does twist on the axis, right? Inhale, back, axis. And then go ahead and turn to the left. And back to center. We'll land this next one and move into the actual twist. Turning towards the right. You're going to go ahead and you're going to bring your left hand to your outer right knee, and right fingertips might come behind you. If you can't get to the ground, you could put something behind you, or you could simply bring your fingertips to the back of the block and use that as your leverage, right? I'll show that example. Inhale and get tall again. I like to flare ribs. Some people want to round and pull in. Find length. And there's more variations of the two main ones, right? Go ahead and maybe you go a little deeper into that twist. Keep that side waist A long, B engaged. Head turns just as far as it comfortably can, and turn the body forward. Moving towards the other side, but let's go through that slow process, right? That precise process. Inhale, reach the shoulders out. Arms, turn the palms up, soften the shoulders down. Lengthen through the chest and upper back, and then keep all of those things as best you can. Turning towards the left, bringing right hand to outer left knee, right fingertips behind you on block, against block, the floor. Inhale, lengthen. Notice what your tendency is, where your ribs and your spine want to change. Try not to let them, and just turn as if your spinal column, right, was an axis. Each vertebrae turns without moving forward or back or to the right or to the left. It simply rotates. Head as far as it comfortably can. Check in with your side waist. Can you engage and lengthen the side waist a little more without being rigid? I didn't say pull your front belly in to do that, right? And turning the body back to neutral. Let's take a quick break in the backs of the knees. So you can move your props off to the side and just come to hands and knees for a few moments. Let's do a couple of cat-cows. Inhale, reaching the chest forward. Exhale, round. We're going to do 2 to be precise, and then we'll add on. And inhale, reach the chest forward. That hopefully feels nice on the abdomen. And exhale, and this one usually feels really good in that mid-thoracic, upper thoracic. And come back to your neutral. Now curl your right foot behind you, curl those toes under, and go ahead and push the heel back, and you can rock the body a little bit just to open up the back of that knee from sitting in hero's pose. And then from there, come to neutral. The foot is still back, toes are curled under, right? But my wrists are back under my shoulders, and I have my low belly gently toning up for support. You're going to point your right toes so your 5 toenails come to the ground, and slide your right toes over to the left. Hug your left hip and rib into each other, a little side crunch, and turn and look back towards those right toes. It's not about seeing the toes. Think of lengthening through the right side waist, and I even start to feel this in my inner bowl of my pelvis as the psoas comes up from the front of my hip and over around towards my low back. And coming back to neutral, curl your left toes under and straighten the leg behind you, and first just do that rocking motion. You might just feel, it might be more calf for you, but if you were sitting in hero's pose, it might feel mighty fine to open up the back of that knee. And then from there, you're going to come to neutral, push those limbs down that are on the earth. You're going to point your left toes back behind you, and the left foot is going to go over to slide over to the right. Let your right hip and shoulder move towards each other, and then look back. So the looking back, I always add that in last. Add that side crunch in first. It'll probably get you a little extra something, something, right? And then breathing, just noticing, where do you feel this? Is it different than the first side? And bring that back to neutral, and go ahead and set that down. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to go into a little bit of wrist work, since we were kind of playing with that line today, right? And I've had some people who are talking about typing all the time, forearms and shoulders, upper backs. So we're going to take a little bit this part of the body today. So from there, you're going to go ahead and bring your heels of your hands back a little closer to your knees, right? And then you might rock out over that just a little bit. Now, don't put too much pressure. Like, I can still rock out without putting too much weight. Keep some in your finger pads. If you have carpal tunnel syndrome, be very careful with all of this. We don't want to inflame something that's already inflamed in there, right? And then go ahead and release that. Now you're going to take your fingers and you're going to dive them, right? So I'm on the back of my hands, and I bring the back of my hands down. I'm going to try to maintain contact with the back part of my hand nearest my wrist, I'll say. And then I like my hands to be a little closer to my body so that I can start to sink my hips back towards my heels. Shoulders love to lift towards ears, so just keep the shoulders as soft as you can. And just start to notice if you feel a stretch in the back, what we'll call the back of your forearm, right? Only going to the point where you can handle it with ease. We're not killing ourselves for this. And then go ahead and you might just sit back on your heels for a moment in Vajrasana. And just shake those wrists out and move them around. It might feel better just to move them in circles. It might feel better to shake. You get to take whichever one feels best in your wrists, right? You can move those fingers all over tarnation and go nice and wide. And then we've got one more piece to this puzzle. This time you're going to try to turn the fingertips all the way towards your knees as best you can. That might be out sideways for you, and that's okay. Right? And then from there, same thing. I personally like my hands a little closer to my body so that I can start to move my buttocks back. And then this one usually gets really, really nice back into that, what we'll call the inner forearm. And soft shoulders, soft tongue, soft jaw. Try to keep the heel of the hand pushing down and release that. And again, you might go back to Vajrasana. And just go ahead and shake or circle the arms. So now we're going to take that into one downward dog. So walk your hands a little forward. Let's go as wide as the mat. Before you go up in a downward dog, because we've been working with some of these little bits and pieces, let's find them before we just shove back, right? So really pushing down, not just through the heel of the hands, but through your finger pads as well. As a matter of fact, if you can come up onto what's called tentapods, Come up onto your tentopods, right? And if you can't do this, it's okay, right? And as you push down into your finger pads, feel how you're making contact through your finger pads, right? Slide your shoulder blades down your back and your chest forward. Now you can come up in a downward dog in this manner, by the way, but otherwise you're going to go ahead and you're going to try to bring the palms down, but put just as much pressure back into those finger pads as you had moments ago. So it's not all in the heel of the hand. So this is wrist health, right? When we start to bear weight in our hands and our arms. Shoulders down the back, chest forward. Now try to maintain that really strong, straight arms. Try not to let your upper traps take over as we start to reach those hips up and back. Right? And bend the knees a lot. Bend the knees so much and lift the heels so much, it's almost like you could lay your ribs on your thighs, right? And then from there, find that maybe you can push back down into your finger pads if you lost that. Feel the middle of the palm almost suck up away from the floor like a vacuum effect or something, right? And then keeping the length of the body from the side waist, lengthening all the way through your lats, all the way through the outer arms, right? All the way down to the fingers. Maybe you start to play with the heels rooting down, with the thighs moving back. It's not about the legs as much today, though, so really don't lose the arms and the hands and the upper back for having straight legs. Take one more breath wherever it is you're working from. And then go ahead and you're going to come on down to your knees again. Now you can sit in cross-legged, or if it's okay to go into that kneeling position one more time. But this time we're going to do it slightly different. We're going to go into a twist, which you can do from cross-legged. You're going to bring the block over to the right side and bring your right buttocks down towards that. So I'm just ever so slightly off put from my legs. Now if you want to stack your left ankle and your right arch, you can add that in. So it's one leg is in hero's pose, the left leg, and the other, the foot goes sideways and catches the ankle. If that doesn't make sense, just bring the hips over and have the legs exactly as they were, both in the hero's pose style, legs and feet, right? So I don't have my left buttocks down, but I do have my right buttocks down. And then I'm going to bring my, my left hand back behind, and I'm going to see if I can grab onto my right forearm. Now, if that's not available, you could always use a strap as a bridge in order to do that, right, around the arm. Or you could just simply reach this arm behind, and you can always bring this other hand over there just to kind of help keep it in place. You're going to try to reach that left shoulder back behind you. Oh, I'm doing the wrong arm. I'm so sorry. In my head, I was thinking it was wrong. Go ahead and reach your right arm back, trying to grab onto your left upper arm, the bottom part by the elbow. If you can't, use a strap. If you can't, you might just bring this hand back here to help it stay in place, right? Now, move those shoulders back. And if you're down and cross-legged, you're just going to go into the twist we did earlier, right? But otherwise, if you can, you're going to reach these left fingers forward and allow it to start to turn your spine. Be careful of flaring ribs here. Keep the sideways long like we just did a little bit ago. And if that left hand can either come into the inner edge of the left thigh, or it might reach to that outer edge. For me, I'm not quite there yet. I would do this probably after about 45 minutes of practice, right? So I'm gonna go to inside, but you take the one that's right for you. Inhale and get really tall. Now sink both buttocks bones down, right? And maybe you push and glide out onto that leg, and as you do, this other hand that's grabbing kind of gets pulled in, and you start to move into that twist. And breathe. Inhale. And exhale there. Go ahead and turn forward towards the front, and you're going to come back with your hips to the center. Put that block or blanket on the other side. You can do this on the ground, but again, I am not normally, if I'm bringing people into poses like this, I want to warm their body up and really prep you for it so that it receives it better and gets to deeper places. You know, and this is pretty fresh in the practice. It's not a very long practice, so use a little support. Make it a little softer for yourself maybe. Bringing the Left hand back, grabbing onto the right arm or using a strap, or that right hand just might come back to keep it there and help this arm, because that's going to be our helper in our twist, right? Now from there, work that left shoulder back, buttocks bones down, spine really long, especially my rib flares. We tend to go even deeper because the arm is kind of helping push that direction, so you got to counter that. Reaching those right fingertips, you're going to slide the right fingertips forward and start to move into the twist, and then find either the inner right thigh or the outer left thigh. They're both wonderful. Inhale, get tall again if you went into rib flare particularly, right? And then slide that arm out to helps that left rib, right, or your right rib, sorry, turn in a little bit, and you might turn the head and just follow that line. And breathing from there. Feel the stretch across the front of your left shoulder and chest. And then release that and turn forward. And actually, after that, we are going to close. So we're going to take a few moments, and I'm going to do a little meditation at the end of class. If you want to lie down, you can. You can sit cross-legged on a chair. I'm going to go back to that same kneeling position that we started with, right? So whatever works best for you. You do want to try and find a long spine. That's our main energy channel of the body. And I've heard yoga described as an energy management system. And I really like that description. I think that is quite true, right? Both our mental energy, our physical energy, our emotional energy, it helps us manage all of that. So as you sit up nice and tall or lay down nice and tall, close the eyes, and we're going to go into run your energy. So imagine that energy coming up from the earth, through your feet, your legs, all the way to your tailbone. And that's the earth's energy, Mama Gaia's energy, right? And then we're going to bring our energy up above, or our awareness, up above, and I'm going to call this cosmic energy, or you can call it ether if that's more comfortable, right? But this cosmic energy is going to come down through the crown of the head, down the back side of our spinal column, and it comes all the way down until it comes to the tailbone and meets up with that earth energy. Those two energies combine, they blend, and they're going to come up the front of our spine, through our abdominal cavity, right, through our thoracic cavity. They come all the way out through our arms, hands, and fingers, and up into our head, and fill us up, this mixed energy. So I'll repeat that one more time, and we'll do a little add-on. The energy comes up through your feet and your legs, the earth's energy, all the way up to your tailbone. The cosmic energy comes up in from above, down the back side of your spinal column until it meets up with the earth energy, at which point the two blend together, and they come up through your body, filling out the rest of your body, this combined energy. And then let it come all the way up to the crown of the head, the tippity top of your head. And it even comes out of the crown of your head and like a fountain starts to fill up that energy field all around you. In yoga, we call this the aura. In science, modern medical science, they call this your electromagnetic field. And just keep running that energy. The more practiced we get at this, the more we can find that we can do this anywhere, and it takes a shorter amount of time, and it's just one of the most wonderful resets for your energetic body that I have found anyway. Bring those palms together at your heart. Take a big ol' inhale. With an exhale, bow your head in and just take a moment of gratitude that you gave yourself this space and time and you came to this healing practice, right? You care about your health and wellness, and I think that's pretty beautiful. Namaste, friends. And before you get going and get crazy, you might want to just one more time just check in. Again, yes, it was upper back and neck, but really I was trying to bring it more into hands, wrists, fingers, and through those arms, and just kind of play with that for all of my friends who have been computering a lot. May you be well, friends.